Hi, my apologies. It's February 23rd, 2022. I will not be able to make our meeting tomorrow night, Thursday, as I'll be away. So I wanted to pre-record this for all my fans and audience. So thank you for being so loyal and coming back all the time. I really appreciate that. I'm going to cover something by Edvard Grieg today, who is a was a Norwegian composer born in 1843. His great-grandfather was Scottish, but he was Norwegian bred, and at the age of 23 gave a concert where he had great reviews, and actually a lot of his own material was quite impressive. Interesting again that here's a guy that married his cousin, so that I guess it's more prevalent than otherwise known back then. But another interesting fact is he hated school as a kid. In fact, he hated it so much he would deliberately forget his umbrella, get all drenched in the rain, and his teacher would send him home. So he had a bad time as a kid, evidently. He's probably most famous for a few very cool pieces. One is the piano concerto in A number 1, A minor. And he never did another concerto, but it was really well received. Also most famous for the Hall of the Mountain King, which was part of the play by Henrik Ibsen, Peer Gynt. So he did all the music for that play, but in fact, that particular piece happens to be one that he's quite famous for. And in fact, I have a little bit of a clip of it now. You'll recognize it right away. It's quite popular. So let me do this. I'll share the screen just for a second and play this piece for you. Let me make sure I share the sound. And here it is. Pretty exciting piece. So famous for that. He also wrote a very beautiful series of lyric pieces. I'm going to play one of them for you today called Notturno, Opus 54, number 4. Just a really beautiful piece. It's got some wonderful melodic adventures in it, but also has some very interesting chromatic drops, as you'll see near the end, and quite fun to play. He takes it from one chord center and moves it up to another. You'll hear it go up by, I haven't really thought about it, but I guess up by about 4th or 5th. So you'll hear that, and it's quite a pleasant surprise and makes for a very great piece. So I think you'll enjoy that. Let's see what else. He wrote a wedding day piece to commemorate his silver wedding. He also wrote a funeral for a friend and ended up insisting that be played at his funeral. He passed away in 1907 from a heart attack. About 30 or 40,000 people came to his funeral. It was just incredible. One of the interesting things about him too is he had a little stone frog that he kept in his pocket, and he would rub it for good luck just before a performance. I thought that was kind of cool. Let's see, what else? I think that's the key thing. He got an honorary degree from Cambridge University. Near the end of his life, he looked like Einstein. When you see pictures of him, he looked very much like Einstein, which I think is quite interesting. Just before he died, about a year before, he wrote 4 Psalms, Psalms. So unfortunately, after he passed away, his music was regarded as old-fashioned. But in fact, it was kind of rediscovered by the French composers of the early 20th century. And Ravel was quoted as saying, other than Debussy, no composer to whom I feel a closer affinity. So that was, I think, a very nice comment by him. So this is one of the composers of the Romantic era, Edvard Grieg, and I'm going to play a piece called Notturno, Opus 54, number 4. So let me do that now and make sure I shut off my phone so that doesn't interfere with us here. And I'll move this over to see the piano. What I forgot to mention is you can hear in some places these wonderful trills that sound like birds singing. And in fact, he did a great job of taking Norwegian folk song sensibilities and embedding them into his music. And you can almost see the landscape with some of his music, just really beautiful. You'll notice too in the beginning, there was a very interesting lilting effect, the kind of subtext of a different beat underneath, which made it a little tricky to play, but quite fun to listen to. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again for coming. I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you folks show up all the time. I very much appreciate the discussions we have afterwards. I'll miss that today. So I apologize you won't have the luxury of doing that amongst yourselves as well, but perhaps we can figure out a way to do that in the future. But I'll post this link tonight and make sure people have access to it tomorrow during our normal time. And thank you again for attending. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.